Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia and this is The Feminine Fancy. I am in my dining room today because I just felt like a change of scenery and I filmed quite a bit in here over the summer, so I thought, let's give it another go. Let's shift it around. I think that's the fun thing about this new apartment is that I'm always looking for places to film. Like there are so many different places I can film. Anyways, I wanted to talk today about femininity. I wanted to have a chat about femininity and about, I can't believe it's still so echoey in here with all of this furniture. I wanted to have a chat about femininity because I haven't talked about it much, and this channel is called The Feminine Fancy, and I kind of moved towards like less about preaching about femininity and like talking about it and more towards just like showcasing like a leveled up way of life, if you will, and like more recently getting into like showing like my morning routine or, you know, decorating the tree, things like that that kind of go hand in hand with some of the aspects that I like to talk about in terms of femininity. But I thought it would be fun to just do a sit down and chat video with you guys because I haven't done this for a while. And as I mentioned in my, what's it called? The rise and fall of the femininity movement video, this is still something I like to talk about. Like this is still a topic I enjoy and I still consume content around femininity. And so I thought, let's give it another go, right? Like let's try again. A video that I never made is the things that I do to feel more feminine. I think I made a blog post about it over the summer, but this is going to be much more extensive and much more comprehensive, I guess you can say, and also just like a fun girl chat. The reason I want to talk about this is because I do feel like 2019 and 2020, when the femininity content was really popular, I do think that it really inspired a lot of women, and not in the sense of like, oh, you have to dress perfect and look perfect all the time, but it did inspire this newfound desire to look your best, to feel your best, to like put your best foot forward in various situations, and learning about etiquette, learning about conversation topics. Like all of those things are really just kind of beneficial to know how to do, and they do sort of create this very vibrant life. If you're not using femininity as a means of manipulation or as a means of you know, trying to be perfect or project this perfect image, because as we know, perfection does not exist. But I do think that it inspired a lot of women, and that is what I love to do on this channel. So I thought I would talk to you about some of the things that I do that make me feel just the most feminine, the most authentic and free in who I am as a woman. So let's get into it. But before we do, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already. Join our online community. Follow me on Instagram as well at _thefemininefancy_ on Instagram. Okay, so the first thing that I do that helps me feel the most feminine is dance. I haven't talked about my nightly like solo dance parties on this channel for a while, but trust me, it's still something that is very much a part of my life. Not only can I use it as a sort of replacement for going to the gym or going on a run if I don't feel like doing that, which is most of the time, but it also just releases this freedom and this excitement and this just feminine energy when I just put in my headphones and dance around my apartment and just like genuinely dance, like get down. And for me, it's fun to envision and imagine myself in other places, imagine myself at some far off location in Italy or in the Bahamas, and just really tap into my imagination and a sort of like world of creativity and creation. And for me, coming from a dancer's background, if you guys don't know this, I always say, I don't want to say I was a dancer because you will always be a dancer, but I danced competitively all throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school, and I went to college for dance, and I also was a dance teacher, and I'm going to start teaching again next year, so I'm so excited and grateful for that. But coming from a dancer's background, these dance parties, like for me, I'm like, it is so you think you can dance level. I am choreographing. We are doing we're doing contemporary dances. We're also doing hip hop. We're also doing a little bit of tap. But that's for me coming from my sort of professional dance background. But it's also just fun to like let loose and just, you know, dance like you're at a party, dance like you're out with your friends. Like it is the most freeing feeling, and it helps me tap into my feminine energy so much. If I'm feeling down, I dance. If I'm feeling like I didn't get to exercise that day, I dance. And it gives me this opportunity to express myself, express my creativity, and just feel uber feminine, and I love it so much, and it feels really empowering as well. So that's one of the things that I have been doing and will always do. This is not something I will stop. As long as I'm alive, I will have nightly dance parties by myself. The second thing that I like to do that helps me feel more feminine is I love to cook and bake, and I love to share what I've made with my neighbors. So obviously cooking and baking are not inherently feminine things, right? Like if that was the case, we would not have Gordon Ramsay, we would not have Bobby Flay or Paul Hollywood, right? Like we wouldn't have any of these very talented chefs and bakers. But for me, it's just something that brings me immense joy. I love cooking, I love baking. I don't love the cleanup process as much, but I absolutely love being in the kitchen. And again, like that's not an inherently feminine thing, but when I'm doing it, because it's so much fun for me, I'm able to sort of live in an authenticity with myself, and I'm doing something that makes me feel happy and joyful, and then I get to share it with people. So whether I get to share it with my partner or my family, or take baked goods to my neighbors, it's just something that brings me so much joy, and again helps me tap into my creativity. I had like a Christmas vlog that went up on this channel a couple weeks ago, and I made these thumbprint cookies, but I didn't have like most of the ingredients that the recipe required. So I just sort of used what I had in my kitchen, and they came out amazing. They were so tasty, and I was like, wow, now I have this kind of like made up recipe. It really helps me tap into my creative side, and I enjoy it so very much. Okay, the next thing that helps me feel really feminine, and this might be kind of silly, but is laughing. I love to laugh, and you can ask anyone who's known me for a very long time. I've always been known as like the girl who just laughs, has a great sense of humor. Like I've had teachers tell this to me, I've had friends' parents tell it to me. Like I had one of my friends' parents say like, my daughter does not laugh as much as when you are over. I just love to laugh. I love to find the joy in things, and it's not always easy, and I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm always happy and I'm always laughing, because that's not the case, and I don't want it to come off that way, because that's just not true. I have my days, you guys know this already. By and large, who I am as a person is just someone who really enjoys enjoying life and laughing and finding the humor in things. I think so many things are just funny. Often, and this can sometimes get me in trouble, because oftentimes it might not be something that other people think is funny, but I find it to be hilarious. And I love hanging out with my brother because he and I have such a similar sense of humor, and I don't know if it's that our parents are just really funny. Like I don't know why we are like this, but we just find humor in so many places. And when I'm embodying that joy, and when I'm feeling that like burst of excitement when I'm laughing, it really does help me feel more feminine, because I feel like I'm living in a joyful way, and in a way that also brings joy to other people. When you typically, not if you're like laughing at something inappropriate, but when you are laughing at something that is like a little awkward, or maybe a little off the cuff, a lot of times people around you will also start to loosen up a little bit, and it just makes for a great experience all around. Another thing that helps me really feel more feminine is when I give to others. So I talked about giving out baked goods, which is something that I like to do, but this could be anything. This could be your time, your attention, it could be a donation. The holiday season is here, and this is a great opportunity to give to some of your favorite charities. I will link some of mine down below, but you can give to any charity, any organization that is close to your heart. And when you do that, when you take yourself out of any sort of victim narrative, which I think we can often do, and you kind of put things more into perspective, not to compare traumas, but that people all over the world are suffering. You're not alone in whatever your suffering is. That can just help you feel more at ease. And when you are at ease, I think that also helps ease into living in sort of your feminine energy. When I think of my own struggles and my own traumas in a very singular way, in a very small way, it feels like they are everything, like they are the weight of the world. But when I stop and I realize realize that we are all going through something. Everyone you know is fighting a battle, and we're kind of all in this together. It gives me a sense of peace. It gives me a sense of understanding that like this just is the human experience and everyone's going through it. No matter what you see on Instagram, no matter what you see on YouTube, like everyone's going through something. When you give of yourself, when you give of your time, your attention, when you lend a listening ear to someone who needs to vent or someone who needs to tell you about something, that's just such a wonderful way to tap into that feminine energy and to be in alignment with yourself as a woman, and how you sort of show up as a woman within this human experience. I hope that made sense. The next thing that helps me feel really feminine is when I am able to have girl chats, just like sit down and talk with my friends for a really, really long time. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the channel before, but a lot of my friends don't live nearby, so we have to talk on the phone, or when I do see them, it's like it's an extended visit. But there really is something about community. There's something about community with women, community with like-minded women, with women who you can talk to, who you can vent to, who you can laugh with. It really is very powerful when you're able to have that relationship with women in your life, and it's something that I value a lot. And that's one of the reasons why I've asked on my community tab, you know, who would be interested in a sort of feminine fancy workshop, like an in-person retreat or workshop, because there is something so amazing and powerful about being around women and like uplifting each other. And when I'm able to like have a long phone call with one of my best friends, I mean, comment down below if you're like this too, but when it's over, I'm like, wow, I needed that. Like that felt good. And it really, like it just helps you. It just helps you get, you know, a feminine perspective about something. Your friends can offer viewpoints that you might not have. And it's just really, it's a beautiful thing. I think female relationships are really amazing. So whenever I talk to my girlfriends for like a long time, I feel great. Okay, this one is a little spicy, but I'm an adult, so we're gonna talk about it. Next thing that helps me feel more feminine is intimacy and being intimate with my partner. And intimacy doesn't have to just mean sex, right? Like it can be a long conversation. It can be staying up really late at night and just talking. I think they call it pillow talk, you know, whatever, and just connecting and having those moments of connection, but also having moments of physical connection as well. And this is not me, you know, suggesting that you just go out and find someone to have physical connection with, because I think that can, not always, lead to issues down the line. But intimacy is important, right? Like human interaction, physical touch, a lot of these things are very pivotal to our soul and to like how we feel. When you are being starved of intimacy, it will affect you in whatever way. And so for me personally, this might not be for everyone, when I am able to have that intimacy, that connection with my partner, in a safe space with someone who I love, someone who knows me, or someone who I love, someone who loves me and knows me. Wow, I almost said someone who knows me. And I think that's a really powerful Freudian slip I just had. Someone who knows me, right? Like who sees me and who understands me. That's something that really helps me tap into my feminine energy, and it makes me feel just amazing and wonderful and sexy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So again, not suggesting you should just go find that with anybody if that's not what you want to do, but it is something that I really value, and that helps me feel very, very feminine. The next thing that I do to feel more feminine is eat for my cycle. So I'm not amazing at this yet, but one thing that I have been able to incorporate is a certain level of seed cycling. So in the morning, if you guys follow me on Instagram, sometimes I post my breakfast, and a lot of times it'll be oatmeal, and I will sprinkle some ground flaxseed and chia seed and just do that to try and keep my hormones balanced, which I think I've been doing a good job, because now we're getting into a little bit too much information, but my cycle is extremely on time and regular. I know exactly when I'm ovulating. I know exactly when, you know, the first day of my cycle is going to come, and I attribute that to really eating for my cycle and incorporating some aspects of seed cycling and supplements and things like that. And so that's another thing that helps me feel very feminine, because I feel like I'm taking care of my body, in particular the sort of feminine reproductive organs and aspects of my female body. When I do that, I feel great, because I'm like, okay, I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm making sure that everything is working, because like my mom always says, as women, we have a lot of moving parts. Like, it's not just cut and dry. We've got a lot going on. And so it's important to take care of it. When I eat properly and when I'm focusing on keeping my hormones balanced, I do feel very empowered in my femininity. And finally, the last thing that I have recently started doing to feel more feminine is dressing for my changing body. Now, I am obviously, my body's not changing that much. It's not that drastic of a shift. I am not pregnant. I have not undergone, you know, any surgery. Like, there's nothing huge that's happened with my body other than I am noticing that it is just changing. And I've talked about this before about how, you know, prior to age like 22, I did not have any hips. I was pretty much a stick. And then all of a sudden I turned 22 and I had hips. Like, I was like, oh, what? And so that continues, that keeps happening. And I talked on Instagram the other day on my stories about how I'm done feeling badly when I put on jeans and I don't feel confident in them, because I do carry a lot of my weight in my hips and my thighs. And I would wear jeans or pants and be like, ugh, I don't feel right. I don't feel this, I don't feel that. And it just lended itself to a lot of body shaming. It has made my body dysmorphia worse. And so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna take a break from forcing myself to wear jeans and pants, and I'm just going to incorporate skirts into my wardrobe more. And I was at the flea market and I bought like 6 skirts. They're all old and, you know, previously owned, previously loved. But I'm really excited because I'm like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna play these games. I'm not going to, you know, get into this mental cycle of making myself feel bad because I don't have a thigh gap anymore, right? Like, I'm not gonna do that. And while I will continue to exercise and eat healthy and make sure that my body is operating at like its best capacity, like operating at an optimal capacity, I am no longer going to try and force myself to look the way that I looked when I was 21. I just can't do that. And I talk about that a lot on this channel, so obviously it's something that I struggle with. But when I do talk about it, I find that I get a lot of positive response, and I get a lot of people saying like, we are no longer teenagers and that is okay. Like, our bodies have changed and they will continue to change. And as women, we know that this is going to happen. So dressing for my changing body has made me feel so much more empowered, has made me feel like when I look in the mirror, I feel good, I feel like myself again. And that is really, really priceless to me. And it helps me feel more feminine because I'm more confident. I'm more confident in how I look, I'm more confident in how I feel when I step outside every day, and I'm enjoying that. It's not to say that I don't wear pants anymore, that I won't wear pants, but like for right now, because of like my mental state, because of how I see my body when I look in the mirror, I am going to stay away from anything that's going to make that worse. So yeah, skirts for life, dresses for life. All right, my loves, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video is really helpful to you and that you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below, what do you do to help yourself feel more feminine and more aligned with your feminine energy? I would love to hear about it. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can find me on Instagram at _thefemininefancy_. You can also find me on my blog at thefemininefancy.com. And I feel like I'm gonna start writing again pretty soon. I've just been so busy with work, but thank you so much for your support and for hanging in there with me. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.